Welcome, ladies and gents. We've had the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort for, well, what turned out to be a brilliant race in the end. And has the championship gone up in smoke for Lando Norris? It started off with a crazy race start, didn't it? Lando Norris again, not a good start, passed by Max Verstappen down into turn one again. But it wasn't too bad for Norris this time round because he had the pace and he made that move on Max Verstappen at lap 9, which is a brilliant move around the outside. Further back though, Charles Leclerc with a brilliant move on George Russell early doors made up that one place, but a massive start from Alex Albon, plus five places up into P10 from P15, so a brilliant getaway from him. Gabi Bertoletto with the complete opposite, dropped 5 places down to P18 after a decent qualifying session, and then from there on it looked a pretty steady race, didn't it? Oscar Piastri looked like he had the measure of Lando Norris. He managed to pull about 4.5, nearly 5 second gap, whilst Verstappen was ahead of Norris. Norris, once he got past Verstappen, was pretty damn quick, got to within about 3 seconds of Piastri, but then I think he just took too much out of his tyre life in that stint to do much more about it. And then we got the first of the virtual safety, the safety car. Lewis Hamilton surprisingly dropped it, lap 23 on the banking. It looked like he just got onto the, as the drizzle was getting a little bit heavier, he got onto the painted stuff on the outside of that corner, and an unusual lost the rear end and clipped the edge of the wall. Really unlucky for him, and it cost his teammate absolutely dearly, didn't it? Because he pitted on lap 23, did Charles Leclerc come out of the pits, and then there was a safety car and everybody else of him got a cheap pit stop, and it was stuck then behind George Russell. But what a move, a great move. I think the move of the day from Charles Leclerc and George Russell. The sneaky attack into that second, after the second DRS on, I think turn 11, I think it is. Which we've seen unusually a couple of overtakes there, more so than we've seen probably down into turn 1, which was the usual overtaking place, and George Russell and Charles Leclerc squeezed and battled into there, and then it was lap 53 where it was Charles Leclerc with the incident this time with Kimi Antonelli coming together. Leclerc sort of saying, well, it was kind of really unneeded, wasn't it, this battle that they had there, and with Antonelli, purely Antonelli's fault with that, and it's a shame for both drivers, because for Charles Leclerc, where the Ferrari really wasn't quick, they were horrible on Friday, and it looked like he had the pace for a podium all racing. It would have been a podium if he'd managed to just keep it on track. I reckon he would have had enough in that second stint to pass Isaac Hadjar, but we'd never know. And yeah, a DNF for him, double DNF for Ferrari, and both crashing out, and they go to their big race weekend next time out in Monza, where they traditionally go well. They can be promising signs of how well they went in race pace for Ferrari, but other than that, not much to write home about. But back to the racing, George and Russell and that Leclerc battle ensued after that. Alonso then with a strange move to pit and go on to another set of hards right at the end to just try and do something. And we got that safety car on lap 54. It meant everybody pit. The two McLarens went for the hards. Everyone else behind went for the softs. Fernando Alonso with that move, it paid off in the end. Got himself up into P9. Finished P8 in the end. It was a good call from him, despite strange. Haas were just sticking it out and hoping for a safety car, and they pit, and it worked out fantastically well. A career best for Ollie Behrman coming out in P6, and Esteban Ocon getting a P10 from a pit lane and a P18 start, which was their strategy team needed a bit of a raise on that one. I mean, really lucky with that third safety car of Lando Norris on lap 65, where he seemed to just get smoke in his cockpit. And that was all she wrote. Massive dent in the championship lead, which is a real real shame for us guys, because this is the last thing we needed. Or you've got a 10 race shootout, you're all geared up after the break for a massive championship battle, and a 34-point swing in Oscar Piastri's favour. It would have been up to 18 points, which wouldn't have been the end of the world, because it's 3-4 race wins out of the last 9 clearly possible for Lando Norris, and we would have still had, although all the eggs in Oscar's basket still, but a pretty, a solid chance for still Lando Norris to go on and win the championship. But from here, it needs 7 out of 9 wins really to overhaul this, and that's no mistakes. Oscar Piastri can risk more than anything really now, isn't it? He can take that dive, that punt. Not that he'd wish to, but if it come down to it, he's got less to lose than Lando Norris has, and so it just makes that when that move does come, it's more critical for Norris for it to be clear and clean. Obviously they don't want to hit teammates at all, but now Oscar's got nothing to lose at all when it comes down to that. But what it did mean was Isaac Hadjar sneaking onto the podium with a brilliant P3. What a drive he's had this weekend from P4 to P3. But yeah, that was the story of the race. It looked absolutely brilliant. A McLaren 1-2 would have been perfect in that order. It would have been better probably if Norris got the win. But now a 34-point lead is huge. Let's get to the 3 good and the 3 bad of the race week for me, or for the race really for me. And we're starting for the first of that. It's Isaac Hadjar with a P3, a well-deserved P3, because his qualifying performance got him into P4, really put him in the position to just maximise everything, and it was purely on merit. No crazy weird conditions really that helped him into that. I mean, he got a little bit lucky with the Norris DNF, but he was comfortably P4. He held off George Russell, he held off Charles Leclerc, who were all over him at one point. Didn't have enough to get Max Verstappen in his car, but he can be a mega job, because he's gone into the summer break where he's had a couple of run of bad races, but then it's really this has just been absolutely phenomenal for him. He started off the season fantastically well. He went through that dip. He's come off the summer break, and to get a podium on the first of the last 10 races is absolutely phenomenal for him. A great boost in confidence, and it's great to see the Isaac back that we've seen early doors. A massive boost in confidence for him. At the early parts of the race weekend, it looked like Liam Lawson had his number, but when it counted, he rose, and boy, have he shone. A massive boost and an injection for him. He was mega happy with this result, and so he should be, because he's really earned this one, and hopefully we can see him grow from here. He's been such an impressive rookie, and this is another badge you can add to his list so far this season, because he's been massively impressive for me. Second of the 3 good, I've gone for Alex Albon, because he made up 10 places up to P5. So important. A mega lap 1 to make up 5 places, and that really set up the race for him from there onwards. Mega performance. Good decisions on the pit strategies under the safety cars, and then he got that final one where he could go onto the softs like everybody else around him. It just made that P5 a little bit more secure for him, and what a drive. I mean, this Williams has been up and down this weekend. I thought it'd be a good weekend. I never thought it'd be anything like this, because it's been an absolutely brilliant performance from him to pick up some big much needed points, and that battle in behind him is so close now. I mean, much needed, especially given Isaac Hadjar taking that P3 in that Racing Bulls, for Williams to limit the damage when you look at it that way. That battle behind is so close now. 52 points. They're on 80, so just 18 points or something like that in it now. I believe between Williams and Racing Bulls and the guys behind, and they needed results like this now, Williams, to keep them ahead of everybody chasing them. And yeah, much needed good result, and they can carry this into Monza, where I think they'll go well again. And Alex, you can be really happy with this one after not such a great qualifying to pick up 10 places, where it's a place that's difficult to overtake. He did that with brilliantly at the start, and then good strategy that got them into that P5. And then on the third of the three good, last but not least, it's a pit line to P6. Ollie Behrman, absolutely brilliant job, a career best. He beats his P7 that he pulled off in the Ferrari, I think it was at Saudi when he stepped in there. 14 places, oh well, from the pits. I mean, it's such an incredible job. Hats off to the Haas team. They had really good pace on their tyres in the first stint, and then he went on to the mediums and he really made the absolute most of them, where he pulled off a P6. It would have been P7 but for, you know, all the penalties that Kimi Antonelli racked up. And Ollie Behrman can be massively happy with that. He beats his teammate who started ahead of him, and Ollie's shown there's glimpses of this performance, but it's now finally come and he's got this reward under his belt. An absolutely brilliant result, a great result for the Haas team also, which makes this battle up and behind from P5 down in the constructors looking ever so close. A shout out to Lance Stroll, because he also made up 12 places. This car looked really good when it come down to it, when it started this race weekend, but Lance had a bad free practice, a bad qualifying with crashes, a P19 to P7. You can be very happy with his race result. Beats his teammate Fernando Alonso, so he's now ahead of him in the championship, because they were level on points coming into this race. And so yeah, a shout out to Lance Stroll. He pulled off a decent result when it counts, and he's done that when these races have been crazy. He's managed to just keep it together and pull off decent results. On to the three bad, and I'm starting with the double DNF for Ferrari. The car looked good in the race, looked awful in pre-practice. 6th and 7th is where they started. A great start from Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and it looked like all the world that a podium position should and would have been on. The first safety car really for where Lewis crashed cost Charles Leclerc daily, then got stuck behind George Russell rather than looking forward, which is a real shame for in his race. And then he was questioning the call where he came into the pits to cover off Kimi Antonelli, where Antonelli went on the softs. Leclerc, thinking he had enough in his tyres, came out ahead of Antonelli. Not his fault really, and got clipped by the Mercedes, and off he went into the wall. Sat on the mound of shame, didn't he, like Lando Norris towards the end of the race, and was perhaps scratching his head of what should and could have been for him in the Ferrari, where the car looked good in race but just lacking in race or one lap pace, which is the complete opposite of what we've seen for this Ferrari for much of the seasons beforehand, where it's been really good on the one race, one lap pace, but not quite in the race. Now they've got to swing in the complete opposite. And then we got Lewis Hamilton with an uncharacteristic mistake. Monza next, a big home race for them, and they'll be hoping that they can come back with a much needed decent finish, because their fight for second in the championship is now looking a bit more closer than it was, isn't it? Mercedes picking up some good points for George Russell. Onto the second of the three bad is Kimi Antonelli, because he had a very good race, much needed in fact, because he's finished nowhere really, come under a lot of criticism, and he would have finished ahead of George Russell. And was it just a bit too much sort of desperation to really prove he's the man, or should it really have just been a sensible finish to the end? He needed just that some calm head, and he seemed to have lost it a little bit with that battle with Charles Leclerc. A really bad mistake, and then to double it off, he got a speeding pit lane punishment as well, 5-second penalty for him, and I think that's, you know, just put a massive down of 15 seconds in the end. I think he finished nearly last, but yeah, not good, because it was looking promising after not a great qualifying either, but it was coming together in the race well for him. He would have finished ahead of Joe Russell. So many positives, and he's kind of turned it into a negative with just small mistakes, but it's fine margins in F1 and what makes you a hero, looking at Hajar, and a bit of a zero today for Kimi Antonelli. Third of the three bad, I'm going for Liam Lawson, because he started up in P8 and he finished in P12. His teammate finished in P3 and he could have comfortably finished in the points. A shame really, a good qualifying session, got himself in a decent point position, points should have been on, and then he had just a bit of a scruffy race. He got into that tangle with Carlos Sainz, where it looked like he just ran Carlos off a little bit. Surprising though that Carlos Sainz got a 10-second penalty on that one. He just went backwards, and he'll be really disappointed with that, especially where coming into the weekend, especially in the free practice sessions and qualifying in Q1 and Q2, it looked like he had the measure of his teammate, and when it's counted, it's just not come together for him. And going into the summer break, he looked like the man on form, so we just hope he can recapture that next time out in Monza. And a shout out in the three bad for the first time is the steward. How on earth have they given a 10-second penalty to Carlos Sainz for trying to move around the outside, and Liam Lawson just closing the door? He was more than halfway up alongside Liam Lawson, so you'd have thought he had the right for some space. Explain that one. I'm shocked. How on earth have they given him a 10-second penalty? Is beyond me. I really can't understand that one. Carlos Sainz was fuming and said, we need to go and see the stewards after this one. I kind of hope he does. I know the team will be saying, yeah, not a great idea. We're just going to put ourselves in the back foot and potentially, earn more fines or whatever for disrespecting the stewards. The decision is made. Likelihood of it being reversed is 0. And it's just an awful decision. I have no idea how they've come up with that one. Someone explain, please. I've watched it a couple of times. No idea. So confused of how they've given him that penalty in 10 seconds as well. At that, it was just never that deep. Even if it was going to be ever in whatever world you might justify it as Carlos Sainz's penalty. If you think it's Carlos Sainz's penalty, let me know your thoughts in the comment of where and how I've got wrong. But what a race. Oscar Piastri, is it now? Well, it is now his championship to lose with a 34-point lead. 9 races to go. Monza coming up thick and fast next. Watch out for the driver ratings coming early and the Monza review. I'll also have my Monza F1 to esports series as well continues as I try to get onto the grid. How close can I get to the fastest laps on Monza in F1 25? Watch out for that. Uber to F1 esports is that series. Keep an eye on that. That'll be coming early next week as well. Thick and fast races now. Looking forward to Monza. It's always a cracker. Just 1 week to go after a brilliant race, in fact. Such a shame that it's ended with a Norris DNF, because the championship now, it needs sort of a really bad result for Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris to take full advantage of that. Could that happen next time out in Monza? There's a chance. I mean, Ferrari go well round here. A fast circuit, and Verstappen showing where it's not tight and technical, and he could pull off some surprises and potentially get between the two McLarens. He pulled it off at the start of the race, clearly just didn't have enough to make that and keep that continuing for much of the race. Really, the McLarens look so strong when it comes to race pace, but there's the chances for small hiccups. There's still a long way to go, so I'm keeping my hopes up that this championship will find its way to a nail-biting finish in Abu Dhabi between two teammates, but it's a massive advantage, like I say, to Oscar Piastri. Has Lando Norris's championship gone up in smoke? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? But he needs a massive bounce back and a couple of big results for him and not so good ones for Oscar Piastri. And who knows? Anything can happen. We've seen what happened in Australia. Lando Norris has overturned this sort of deficit. Probably not quite as big as this one, but he did from 25 odd points down to 2 or 3, didn't he? So it's possible, and that happened pretty quickly, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that one. But there we have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment as always. Let me know your thoughts on the race. Who was your driver of the day? We've not got to that, have we? My driver of the day, I'm giving it to Isaac Hadjar with a brilliant P3. Key race moments and the overtake of the day. Let me know your thoughts on them ones. Did you make of Carlos Sainz's penalty and also the move from Leclerc on Russell? I think that's still under investigation. We'll see the outcome of that one. I really hope nothing comes of it, because for me it was just a racing incident. Great move from Charles Leclerc, and we just need to let them happen to keep the great racing coming. But there we go. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.